Hey y'all, I am Eric. Welcome back to Erik Bets Fights. This is going to be kind of a quick one. We're just going to do a quick best bets little episode here. We're going to run through all the fights on. It's already fight morning. The fights are today. It's Saturday. We're just a few hours away from the first fight, so it's like it feels too little too late. Why am I putting this out, especially when it's going to get 12 views and like 5 of those are going to be me? But, you know, I kind of do this for me, you guys. It just makes me feel better to know that I got it out. So yeah, what the heck? We're going to run through the card real quick. I'm going to let you know the bets that I've got going on for this card. Let's go ahead and jump right in. First fight of the night, which will be starting in, 3 hours or so. Jordan Levitt versus Matt Sales. Oh, and I also want to preface all of this with this week was the busiest week. I'm not going to get into my problems too much, but this week was the busiest week at my job, so I did not get a chance to do tape for all the fights. I'll kind of just let you know which ones I did and which ones I didn't. I did listen to a lot of podcasts and got other cappers' reads on things, so I can share that stuff a little bit, but as far as my own, I did not get to do tape study on that many fights this week. So Jordan Levitt, Matt Sales, I did not do tape study on that one. It's a pretty straightforward breakdown, though. It's a pretty striker versus grappler kind of situation. Jordan Levitt obviously has a great ground game, has no striking game to speak of. Matt Sales, the opposite. Pretty good stand-up, pretty powerful, no ground game to speak of. It's pretty close to a coin flip. Jordan Levitt's sitting around like minus 125, Matt Sales around plus 125. I did bet the under here. I put, let me see, I think I put 1 unit. Let me check for sure. I should have had this pulled up here. I think I've got 1 unit on the under 2.5 rounds at minus 135. I didn't really want to pick a side in that one. Matt Sales has been gone for a while. He ballooned way up in weight. There's some question marks here, but it's pretty simple. If Jordan Levitt can get Matt Sales down, he should be able to dominate. If he can't get Matt Sales down, he's probably going to get beat up. Next fight, Don'Tale Mayes versus Josh Parisian. Don'Tale Mayes is currently sitting anywhere from like minus 170 to even minus 200. Parisian is in the neighborhood of like plus 150 to plus 170. This is one of those, I've mentioned this before, low-level heavyweight fights tend to be stayaways for me. There's just too much volatility. When you've got guys that are really powerful, that are just going to kind of throw hands, don't necessarily have the best game plan, don't necessarily have the best skill set, it's just, it's hard to make reads on that. Mays is a favorite for a reason, I think. He's a huge guy. He's a better fighter, technically speaking, than Josh Parisian. However, I think there could potentially be a little bit of underdog value on Parisian here. I mean, I see a lot of people saying Parisian is the worst fighter in the UFC. I'm not going to argue. I mean, he might be. But he does have some volume, and he does have pretty okay cardio. So this is one of those things. I mean, Mays is huge and much more skilled. You know, I do lean Mays to win, but if the fight goes long and Mays starts to tire, Parisian could potentially take over, and this could turn into an ugly, ugly decision that Parisian wins on volume. But it was a stay away for me. Next fight, Macy Chason versus Raquel Pennington. You can get Chason in the neighborhood of like plus 125 to plus 140. Pennington's sitting around like minus 145 to minus 150, even like minus 1 up to minus 177. Wow, yeah, there's a lot of variance there. Anyway, Macy Chason, Raquel Pennington. I stayed away from this one as well. I see a lot of people betting the over here. I mean, it's a women's MMA. We do get a lot of overs. I guess I lean Pennington to win. Obviously, she's had the much stronger strength of schedule. She is the more skilled fighter of the two, certainly. But Chason is just so big and so powerful. And Pennington is a really solid fighter all around, but not necessarily great anywhere. She's tough, she's solid, she's well-rounded. I would lean toward Pennington to win by decision, but Chason being able to kind of overpower her and win a decision wouldn't surprise me that much, so that one was a stay away for me as well. Andre Ewell versus Charles Jourdain. You can get Ewell for like around plus 170, Jourdain anywhere from like minus 175 to even like minus 215. I did do tape study for this one. I did, after doing the tape study, I did lean towards Jourdain to win. I do see some people on Ewell here as an underdog. I saw some people were able to get him as high as like plus 180 and that sort of thing. I don't hate a shot on Ewell here necessarily, but what I came away from when I did tape study for this fight was that in some ways these guys are similar fighters. They're going to look to stand up. They're both pretty fast. Excuse me. I think Jourdain is the faster of the two. He has fast hands, and he's has good footwork. He moves quickly as well. Ewell has fast hands, but he's a little bit foot slow, I think, maybe. But the word that kept popping into my head when I was doing tape study for this fight was dangerous. Jourdain, when you're watching him, he feels dangerous. You know, like when I'm watching Jourdain throw strikes, I'm thinking, okay, this is a guy who could finish an opponent. When I'm watching Ewell in there, he never feels dangerous to me. You know, like I mean, he's got some skills, he's got fast hands, but I never see him throwing anything where I'm thinking like, okay, he's really going to take somebody out here. You know, Ewell is the taller fighter. He has the longer reach. There's the possibility that, you know, I mean, this is probably going to play out on the feet. There's a possibility that Ewell could stay on the outside and just stay busier and land more and win a decision, but I do kind of lean toward Jourdain winning here. And let me make sure. I don't think I have a bet on this fight at all. No. I got a weird slate of bets this week, you guys. Especially, like I said, I didn't get a chance to do tape study on everything here, so I did some I kind of did a little bit of throwing together. I've got some weird sprinkles on some props, and also I mentioned in my last video, I think, that I always do this thing where I look ahead to an event before I've done any tape study at all, and I put together some really square parlays, and I'm trying to stop doing that. Well, I had already done that on this card as well, so I'll kind of let you know what those are as we get there. But yeah, I'm gonna try to quit doing so much of that. Next fight, where were we? Melissa Gatto versus Sijara Eubanks. I do have Sijara Eubanks in. I have Sijara Eubanks in a parlay with Amanda Lemos. I got Lemos at minus 410, Eubanks at minus 220. The parlay came up to minus 124, and I've got 2 units on that. Eubanks, I bet her at minus 220. Put her in that parlay, which is not a great number. I think she's. Well, actually, I've got the numbers in front of me here. You can get her for, she's down as low as like 160, 150, right around there, and Gatto anywhere from 135 to, or plus 135 to plus 155. I did do tape study on this one. I lean Sarge to win. I mean, I think Sarge can probably get takedowns. Like, okay, if we look at her last fight, Sarge's last fight was, what was her name? Elise Reed, I think? Took her down easily, dominated. I'm not saying she's going to be able to do that to Gatto necessarily, but if we look at Gatto's last fight, it was against Victoria Leonardo. And she did win, but I mean, the way that fight played out was actually pretty close, and Victoria Leonardo is not very good. I do think Melissa Gatto is pretty good, or has the potential to be, but I just don't know. This is a pretty big step up in competition for her. But another thing to consider is that Sijara Eubanks is 36 years old, I think, and I think Melissa Gatto is only 25. So this could be one of those spots that we talk about where the trajectory could make a difference. We could, Sarge could be at an age where we could see her slowing down at any time, starting to lose a step. Gatto is at an age where she is going to be potentially learning and getting better very quickly. So we could see a big change, a big disparity between the last fights that these two had. But it's one of those show me spots, We're just guessing when we say that. There's a possibility this fighter slowed down and this fighter got better. We don't know, but just kind of looking at the ages. So I do favor Sarge to win here. But I do think Gatto is pretty good, and an upset wouldn't super surprise me. Next fight, Harry Hunsucker and Justin Tafa. Harry Hunsucker, pretty big underdog. You can get him at like plus 280. Justin Tafa, anywhere from minus 290 to even up to like minus 350 in spots. That's a crazy number. Minus 350 on Justin Tafa. Don't parlay him. I wouldn't touch that. Here's the thing. Harry Hunsucker has never been out of a first round. I'm pretty sure. If he has, it's maybe once. Harry Hunsucker is rarely out of a first 1 or 2 minutes of a fight. If you've seen any of his fights, he's not good. He comes out hard. He throws hard punches. I mean, he's very capable of knocking somebody out, but he tires himself out immediately. He's dangerous for about 60 seconds to 120 seconds, and that's it. However, I would argue that for the first minute or two of this fight, it's a coin flip. Justin Tafa is the better fighter of the two, but when we're talking about two low-level sloppy heavyweights, Hunsucker and Tafa are going to be throwing hands hard for the first minute or two. I think Hunsucker has just as much of a chance to knock Tafa out in that first little bit of the fight as Tafa does. As the fight wears on, it's going to lean Tafa absolutely because Hunsucker tires out. I don't think this fight gets outside of the first round. However, I was able to get where's the bet here? I was able to get Hunsucker wins by KO or TKO in round 1 at plus 1,000, and I decided, what the heck? I put a quarter unit sprinkle on that. Plus 1,000 for Hunsucker to win by TKO in round 1. If Hunsucker's going to win, that's when he's going to do it. I do lean Tafa to win here, but I thought that was worth a fun little sprinkle. Hey, it's the last card of the year. We're having fun, right? So we put a little sprinkle on that one. I also parlayed this fight to go under 1.5 rounds. I got that at minus 185. I parlayed that with Raoni Barcelos to win, and he was at minus 320. So the parlay was plus 102. We got 2 units on that. Which brings us into the next fight, Raoni Barcelos and Victor Henry. Like I said, I did parlay Barcelos with Hunsucker Tafa to go under 1.5. Victor Henry's pretty decent. I mean, he's coming in. He's a debuting fighter. You know, we don't like to bet on debuting fighters for the most part, especially when they're coming in against somebody like Raoni Barcelos. I mean, the guy's no joke. That's a pretty tough first assignment. I didn't do tape study on Victor Henry, but I did a little reading about him, and I heard some other cappers talking about him, and I, looked at his record. I wiki capped him, but he's definitely more experienced and more skilled than your average UFC debutante. So, I mean, he's somebody who he's got a shot here. It's very unlikely that he beats Raoni Barcelos, but I do think he's a guy who can probably stick around and get some fights in the UFC and win some fights in the UFC. So this probably isn't his spot, but I think he could end up being potentially a decent fighter. Next fight up, Dustin Stoltzfus versus Gerald Meerschaert. I don't think I bet this one at all, did I? Oh, I did. Oh, yeah, just a sprinkle, though. I actually put another quarter unit sprinkle. I did a few weird prop sprinkles like this today. I put a quarter unit sprinkle on Meerschaert wins by sub in round 3. I got that at plus 1,200. So that's just kind of a have some fun with it kind of thing. I did do tape study on this fight. You can get Stoltzfus up at like plus 200. Meerschaert is anywhere from like minus 215 to even like minus 250 range. Meerschaert is obviously a solid veteran at this point. He's got pretty well-rounded skills. Best on the ground, certainly. But, his striking hasn't been looking too bad. There are question marks about his chin. I mean, obviously, Hamzat took him out in just a few seconds. But overall, Meerschaert is a solid, sturdy veteran who's going to beat most fighters in the division, especially kind of lower-level fighters. I've seen some people on Stoltzfus here. Stoltzfus could catch him and knock him out, I guess. But, overall, I definitely lean Meerschaert to be the more skilled fighter here, to also be the stronger fighter here, to be able to control. He's probably not going to stay at range and strike any more than he needs to. I think he'll be able to control Stoltzfus. I think we could see a lot of leaning up against the cage here and that sort of thing. But if they do get to working on the ground, I think Meerschaert stands a good chance of finding a sub. I think it's a good fight for Meerschaert. A lot of people taking the underdog shot here. I guess I get it. Best of luck, but I see Meerschaert coming through here. Next fight, Cub Swanson versus Darren Elkins. And, man, I don't have a bet on this fight. I've really thought about it. This is a great matchmaking. I mean, come on. That's an awesome fight. 2 gritty veterans. They're both around 37, 38 years old. They've both been around the game for a long time. They're both going to fight for your dollar. That's a fun fight. Cub Swanson is, sitting around anywhere from minus 160 to minus 200. Darren Elkins can be had for anywhere from like plus 145 to plus 165, somewhere in that range. I did the tape study on this one. I favor Cub here. The only way that I think Elkins can win is if he's able to get takedowns consistently and keep Cub down, and either grind him out for a decision or potentially find a submission. And I just don't think he's going to be able to do that. If the fight plays out on the feet, Cub is the better boxer, certainly. Cub's got pretty decent power. Elkins is the bleeder, the damage. I mean, if the fight plays out on the feet, the optics certainly are going to be on Cub's side. Elkins is going to be bleeding all over the octagon. He's going to be looking rough. Cub's going to be boxing him up. That's kind of how I see the fight playing out and going to decision. I've seen some people taking a shot on Elkins by sub. I don't hate that. I don't hate a sprinkle on Elkins by sub. But yeah, I stayed away from this one. I'm still thinking about like it could be a good live betting spot too. Maybe just keep an eye on that. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I'm just going to keep an eye on it while the fight's playing out and see if I see anything I like. Next fight up, Mateusz Gamrot versus CDF, Carlos Diego Ferreira. I did put Gamrot in a parlay. I got him at minus 175. I parlayed him with Ricky Simone at minus 265. This is one of my square parlays that I did before doing tape. I got that parlay at plus 116. I put 2 units on it. I did do the tape study here. I made that parlay before I did the tape study because I made that parlay doing my thing where I'm looking ahead and trying to beat line movement. I got to quit doing that, but anyway. Not trying to beat line movement. I got to keep doing that, but I got to quit making these square parlays without even doing any research trying to beat line movement. That is not the way to do it. But CDF can be had as high as plus 185. Mateusz Gamrot is in the range of like minus 190 to all the way to minus 225. A lot of people on Gamrot here. After doing tape, man, I don't know if I see it. I mean, watching that CDF versus Gregor Gillespie fight, CDF is a fantastic scrambler. It's hard to find good position against him on the ground. Obviously, in that fight, he tired himself out, and in round 2, he wasn't nearly as effective as he was in round 1. But if CDF can pace himself, I mean, he's a gritty veteran, fantastic skills on the ground, decent stand-up. Gamrot has looked really good in his last couple fights. He finished Jeremy Stevens really quickly and finished... who the heck did he finish right before that? Now I can't remember. Anyway, I feel like it could be a little bit of recency bias going on here and then people being concerned about CDF getting a little older and that sort of thing. I didn't bet CDF at plus 185, but I don't hate a dog shot on him here. I think this could be too much too soon kind of. I mean, Gamrot obviously he's been around, in KSW. It's not like he's some newbie. He's got like 20 some fights and he's fought some high level fighters, but I don't know, man. CDF is pretty freaking good. I did put Gamrot in that parlay, but as far as after I did my tape study, I stayed away from this one. But this could be a good live betting spot too. I'm going to stay away from this one pre-flop, and I'm just going to keep an eye on it while it plays out, I think. But CDF could be live here, certainly. Next fight up, Rafael Assunção versus Ricky Simón. Like I said, I did put Gamrot in a parlay with Simón, so I do have him there. Rafael Assunção is anywhere from plus 215 to like plus 240. Ricky Simón can be had for minus 255 all the way to like minus 300 in spots even. I do like Ricky Simón to win here, but I don't like that number. I did parlay him, but like I said, that was a square parlay where I did not do a tape study first. Rafael Assunção is 39 years old. The guy has been a solid fighter for a long time, but 39 years old for the smaller fighters is rough. If you're a heavyweight at 39, great. You're just getting into your prime. But a smaller fighter at 39 years old, that does get to be problematic. Assunção, there's no reason not to still expect a solid performance from him at this point. But Ricky Simón is younger, he's faster, he's stronger, he's more athletic. His game is a lot more raw, but Ricky Simón is pretty legit. I do expect a good performance from him here. I don't see a finish or anything. I think it'll be a decision. But, yeah, Simón is maybe parlay material here, but I also don't hate a shot on Assunção as an underdog. Next up, Amanda Lemos versus Angela Hill. I did parlay Amanda Lemos. I got her at that terrible number, minus 410 way, but, I made that parlay weeks ago. She's more like around minus 280 to like as much as minus 350 in spots now. Angela Hill can be had for plus 270. This is another live betting spot for me. I almost sprinkled Angela Hill by decision. I think you can get Angela Hill by decision at like plus, I don't remember. Was it something crazy like plus 500? It doesn't seem like it would have been that high, but it was a decent number. Amanda Lemos, could be some recency bias there too. Could also be some, people get these narratives in their head. And I'm not saying Amanda Lemos isn't a killer. She is. But I think people have created this narrative that she is this absolutely unstoppable monster. And she's going up against a solid veteran in Angela Hill. I mean, Angela Hill has an almost 500 record. We know who she is. She stays busy. She's fought everybody. I mean, yes, she's got a lot of losses, but most of those losses are to the best fighters in her division. Angela Hill is very solid and will bring it against anybody. I've seen some people on Lemos to finish here, either a TKO or even a sub. Definitely possible. However, if the fight goes long, I think we could see Lemos fade, and I think we could see Angela Hill take over with volume. We know Angela Hill isn't going to fade. We know her volume isn't going to drop off. I don't hate a dog shot on Angela Hill here, especially by decision. And I've even seen some people talking about a sprinkle on her to finish in round 3, which I'm sure you could get a huge number on that. That would be a thing where you drop like maybe 0.2 units or something like that. But yeah, if Amanda Lemos isn't able to find a finish early, and I kind of don't think she will, then we could see Angela Hill take over here. But yeah, like I said, good live betting spot. I'm going to keep an eye on that. Next up, the co-main event, we've got Bilal Muhammad versus Stephen Thompson. Bilal Muhammad is around plus 200 as the underdog. Stephen Thompson can be had for minus 215. I see him all the way up to like minus 265 in spots. I did do another little sprinkle here. I sprinkled on Bilal Muhammad to win by decision at plus 325. I put half a unit on that. This is definitely a value bet. I do lean Thompson to win here. If Muhammad wins, that's how he's going to do it. It's going to be by decision. Either one, actually. I see this fight going to the cards. No matter who wins, it's going to be by decision, I think. My sprinkle on Bilal Muhammad there, am I confident in that hitting? No. It was kind of just a pull the trigger for fun sort of thing. I'll admit that. But it's a little bit like the Sijara Eubanks Melissa Gatto spot we talked about before. Although, Bilal Muhammad isn't exactly a spring chicken himself, but Stephen Thompson is, I think, 38 years old now. He's got the kind of style that where age is going to become a problem. He relies on his speed. He relies on his reaction time. 38 is definitely getting up there. And with the kind of style that he has and the age he's getting to, we could see Stephen Thompson drop off pretty quickly at any time, I think. Again, it's a show me spot. We don't know if that's going to happen, but we could see it begin to happen any time. We know that Stephen Thompson can be out wrestled. I don't know that Bilal is the wrestler to do it, but I saw some takes from people whose opinions I trust who thought that maybe Bilal could have some success with his wrestling here, so I decided to take a sprinkle on it. I do lean Thompson to win, but we put a little sprinkle on Bilal to win by decision. And that brings us to the main event, Chris Daukaus versus Derek Lewis. Daukaus is the favorite, right around like anywhere from minus 140 and minus 150 in that range. Derek Lewis can be had for, the best I'm seeing him at is plus 133. Those odds are fairly close. I do think it's a close fight. I do lean Daukaus to win. I think Daukaus is going to come out probably the way he always does. We might see a more patient game plan from him here. It's hard to say. But Daukaus is the kind of guy who likes to come out and get that TKO in round one. We've seen him do that a lot. I think he can do that against Lewis potentially, especially if he works the body, if he's able to hurt him to the body and that sort of thing. Chris Daukaus is a good technical boxer. He's definitely a better boxer than Derek Lewis. Does he have the power Derek Lewis has? Probably not, but we do know he has the power to knock out good heavyweights. Where this fight would get interesting is if we see it go long. Does Daukaus have... We know Derek Lewis can go 5 rounds. We know he's not going to have great output over 5 rounds, but we know he can do it. What about Daukaus? We haven't seen that from him. So I definitely favor Chris Daukaus to win by TKO probably in the first round or two. But if the fight goes long, I would begin to favor Derek Lewis to potentially find that spot because we know he carries that knockout power all the way to the last second of the fight. He can knock you out in the last minute of round 5, and not a lot of fighters can do that. Most of them just don't carry that power that late into the fight. So yeah, that's about what I've got for that. Let's go ahead and run through the bets that I've got again. I've got a parlay on Ricky Simone and Mateusz Gamrot. That parlay is at plus 116. I've got 2 units on that. I've got a little quarter unit sprinkle at plus 1,000 for Harry Hunsucker to win by TKO in round 1. I've got a parlay on Amanda Lemos and Sijara Eubanks at minus 124. We've got 2 units on that one. We've got half a unit sprinkle on Bilal Muhammad to win by decision at plus 325. We've got 1 unit on Sales and Levitt to go under 2.5 rounds. We got that at minus 135. Another quarter unit sprinkle on Mearshart by sub in round 3 at plus 1,200. And then we parlayed Howney Barcelos to win with Tafa Hunsucker to go under 1.5 rounds. We got that at plus 102 at 2 units. So this is a weird slate I've got here. I don't have any straight bets at all. Usually my slate is mostly straight bets. I usually have 1 parlay and maybe 1 prop. A lot of times I don't have any props. Usually I do a lot of straight bets, but like I said, I didn't get to do a lot of research this week, and the research I did do, I just didn't find spots I liked all that much. So I definitely think there are some live betting spots here, so I'm going to be keeping a close eye on that. So we'll see how that goes. But hey, folks, that's my breakdown for UFC Vegas 45, Chris Daukaus versus Derek Lewis. I appreciate y'all stopping by. Please check me out on Twitter at erikbetsfights. You can also follow my third-party tracking for my bets at betmma.tips/erikblock. Make sure to like and subscribe. Leave me a comment down there. Let me know what you thought about the video. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you soon.